again with another update, guys. You're looking here at the Euro USD. Now, having a look at the sort of overall downtrend, this is the Friday time frame. We started to see a bit of a push to the upside. If we have a look here on the hourly time frame, we can see that we did actually have a bit of a wedge forming in this market. So if we pull this across, we can have a look right over here. So if we have a look, we can see nice conjoining lines coming together and starting to form this wedge pattern. We had a nice bit of a breakout. We used internal support / resistance areas for rejection inside this wedge, now pushing the market further higher. The one thing we need to keep in mind is when we play with these zones, with these sort of patterns, we always look at the internal support / resistance zones, all right? So if we draw this back up, we can put our wedge back in again. There's our wedge. We saw that break pushing further higher. The couple of things, like I said, we need to keep in mind is all these zones, all these sort of patterns have got internal support / resistance zones that could play out and could actually help us get back on board if this is an overall new trend in the market. Now, we have had a fairly strong push to the upside, so we could be timed for a bit of a retracement. So using these internal support / resistance zones, guys, we can use these retracements to potentially get back into the market. We're not just we generally don't want to jump into a move that's very sharp, because if we do jump into a sharp move quickly, because of fear of missing out, we could get a bit of a retracement and we could potentially get stopped out. So ideally what we want to wait for is we want to wait for a pullback. We see this over and over again. We want to wait for pullbacks after sharp pushes down. Look for that pullback, look for the re-entry, get back in the market, pullback, re-entry back into the market. We see this over and over and over again. So ideally what we want to see on this side, like I said, internal zones inside of these patterns. We could see a potential move come to the back downside, rejecting of this area, and then looking to push further higher if this trend is continuing to a newer high. Now, potential targets. We have obviously the high or the start of this pattern. We've got it roughly sitting about here, 1.164, 1.163. Nice psychological levels as well for the market to push to. Now, if we fail to break these areas, we could potentially be looking at consolidating. We see this as could be a potential massive consolidation zone if we have a look at this. Huge major consolidation zone. We've got our low back down here. We've obviously got the high right over here. Now this is a bit of an ideal time for swing traders, because that means if we do get rejected up on here, we could pretty much be trading inside the zone, which is a nice safe place to trade into. However, if we get a break of any of these zones, top or bottom, we could look for potential targets relatively close to other support / resistance areas. This is a bit of a messy zone to go into, so just be a bit aware of that. But we do, all the way to the upside, continue to have potential stops and potential re-entries that we could be using, all right? Or even potential rejections coming back down, back down, back down, but down. All right, same thing to the downside. So, bit of an update here. Euro USD, we've got this nice wedge. We had a breakout. Let's see if we can jump back on board either to the upside or potentially back to the downside, guys. Stay tuned, trade safe.